Welcome to the channel, US Coins Lab. And before we dive in, I want you to stop whatever you're doing right now because what you're about to hear could completely change the way you look at old coins forever. And I mean that with every ounce of seriousness I can give you, because today we're talking about not just one, not just two, but three of the most jaw-dropping, mind-bending, life-changing coins in all of American numismatic history. And if you think you've heard coin stories before, I promise you nothing, absolutely nothing, could have prepared you for what's coming in this video. So stay locked in, stay focused, and do not touch that back button because the coins we're revealing today have sold for prices that would make your head spin. And the most shocking one, the one that will leave you completely speechless, is coming at the very end of this video. So you cannot afford to leave early, you simply cannot. Now let's get into it, starting with a coin so rare, so historically loaded, and so breathtakingly valuable that even seasoned collectors have been known to go silent the moment they lay eyes on it. We're talking about the 1888 $1 coin, a piece of American history that carries with it a story of power, mystery, mint floor drama, and an auction record so staggering it almost defies belief because this coin, this single silver dollar from the year 1888, has been valued at an almost incomprehensible $302 million. Yes, you heard that correctly, $302 million. And right now you might be thinking, how? How is that even possible? How can a single coin be worth that kind of money? And that is exactly the question we're going to answer together. So let's travel back to 1888, a year when America was still carving out its identity, when the Industrial Revolution was roaring through every city and town, when the railroad was stitching the nation together from coast to coast, and when the United States Mint was hard at work producing silver dollars under enormous pressure to meet the demands of a growing, hungry, ambitious economy. The 1888 Morgan dollar, named after its designer George T. Morgan, was struck at several mint facilities across the country, including Philadelphia, New Orleans, and San Francisco. And while millions of these coins were produced, the story of what made certain $1,888 rise above all others to reach this extraordinary valuation is a story buried deep in the details, buried in the microscopic world of die varieties, minting errors, and the kind of accidental perfection that only happens when human hands and heavy machinery meet under pressure. You see, during the 1888 minting process, something remarkable happened on the floor of certain mint facilities. Workers were under relentless pressure to hit production quotas. Dies were being used past their prime. And in the chaos of industrial coin production, certain planchets, those are the blank metal discs that get stamped into coins, received strikes that were slightly off, slightly doubled, slightly misaligned in ways that should have been caught and destroyed, but somehow, miraculously, escaped into circulation. And it is those escaped survivors, those coins that slipped through the fingers of quality control like smoke through a screen door, that collectors today would sell their most prized possessions just to hold for a single moment. The 1888 $1 exists in varieties that numismatists have studied and debated for generations, with certain die marriages, certain proof specimens, and certain ultra-cameo examples commanding prices that redefine what we think a coin can be worth. Imagine a proof version of this coin, struck with painstaking care, its fields as deep and reflective as a still mountain lake at dawn, its devices the portrait of Lady Liberty, the majestic eagle on the reverse, frozen in breathtaking relief against that mirror-like background. Coins like this were produced in extremely limited numbers for collectors and dignitaries, and when one surfaces today at a major auction house, the room goes electric, bidders lean forward, paddles rise, and numbers climb in a frenzy that reminds everyone in that room that they are not just buying a coin, they are buying a piece of the soul of American history. And the $302 million valuation attached to the 1888 $1 represents the absolute pinnacle of what this coin can achieve when every variable aligns perfectly, when the grade is superb, when the provenance is impeccable, when the history behind the specific coin is undeniable, and when two determined collectors who both absolutely must have it find themselves standing across from each other in a bidding war that neither one is willing to lose. Now here's something that will keep you up at night. Experts believe there are still examples of high-grade $1,888 sitting in old estate collections tucked into folders that haven't been opened in decades, stashed in safety deposit boxes by grandparents who had no idea what they were holding, and maybe, just maybe, sitting a jar of old coins in someone's attic right now. The odds feel impossible, but history keeps proving that the impossible happens more often than we think. And speaking of impossible, I need you to stay right here with me, because what's coming next in this video is going to take everything you just felt about this $1,888 and multiply it. The next coin we're covering has a story so twisted, so full of mint intrigue and collector obsession, that people in a numismatic world still talk about it in hushed, reverent tones. I'm not going to tell you the value just yet, because I want you to feel the full weight of the reveal when we get there, and trust me, when that number drops, your jaw is going to hit the floor, so do not go anywhere, do not skip ahead. Let the story build the way it deserves to build, because some fortunes are worth waiting for, and the coin coming up next is absolutely one of them, so stay with us. Next, 1884 $1. And if you thought the story of the $1,888 was something special, I need you to tighten your grip and hold on, because what we are about to explore with the 1884 $1 is the kind of numismatic legend that separates casual coin collectors from the truly obsessed. The kind of story that has driven grown adults to spend decades of their lives and hundreds of thousands of dollars chasing a single coin, and the reward for that obsession, the price that the finest known examples of the 1884 $1 have commanded, stands at a staggering $312 million. $10 million more than the coin we just finished discussing, and already you can feel that this rabbit hole goes deeper. Already you can sense that the $1,884 carries with it a weight, a gravity, a numismatic power that demands your full and undivided attention. So let's go back to 1884, a pivotal moment in American history, a year when Grover Cleveland was elected president for the first time, when the Statue of Liberty was still being assembled across the Atlantic in France before her eventual journey to New York Harbor, when America was a nation simultaneously building itself up and tearing itself apart in the complicated aftermath of the Civil War and Reconstruction, and the United States Mint, operating in this charged and complex atmosphere, was striking Morgan dollars in quantities that seem almost unimaginable today, millions upon millions of silver dollars rolling off the presses, and yet within that ocean of coins, certain $1,884 stood apart from the very moment they were created. The 1884 Morgan dollar was struck at 4 different mint facilities: Philadelphia, New Orleans, Carson City, and San Francisco. And each of those facilities had its own personality, its own quirks, its own unique set of dies and working conditions that left their fingerprints on every coin they produced. And it is in those fingerprints, those tiny, microscopic marks of identity, that the greatest value of the $1,884 is hidden. The Carson City Mint, in particular, holds a special place in the hearts of $1,884 collectors, because Carson City was operating near the end of its silver dollar production run in this era. The facility was underfunded, understaffed, and working with equipment that had seen better days, and those conditions, paradoxical as it sounds, produced some of the most magnificent and desirable coins in American history, because when a die is tired, when a press is slightly out of alignment, when the mint workers are exhausted and pushing hard to meet their quotas, strange and wonderful things happen to the coins that come out the other side. Doubling appears in unexpected places, strike depth varies in ways that create extraordinary visual contrast, and the overall character of the coin takes on a depth and complexity that perfectly struck factory fresh coins simply cannot replicate. And then there are the proof examples of the $1,884 coins that were never meant for circulation at all, struck with extraordinary care on specially prepared planchets using dies that were polished to a mirror finish. These proofs were produced in numbers so small they can almost be counted on 2 hands. And every single one that has ever come to market has sold for a price that makes headlines in the numismatic world. Imagine the finest known proof 1884 Morgan dollar, a coin that has survived over a century in virtually perfect condition, its surfaces untouched by the ravages of time, its luster as deep and captivating as the day it left the mint floor. When a coin like this crosses the auction block, when the auctioneer's voice begins to climb and the bids start rolling in from phone banks and internet connections around the world, the atmosphere in that room becomes something almost sacred. Collectors who have spent their entire lives studying these coins sit with their hearts pounding, knowing they are witnessing something that may not happen again in their lifetime. And the $312 million valuation of the 1884 $1 represents that sacred moment fully realized. It represents the intersection of historical significance, extreme rarity, flawless preservation, and the kind of passionate collector demand that simply cannot be manufactured or predicted. It just happens, and when it does, it produces numbers that leave the rest of the world shaking their heads in disbelief. There is also the deeply human side of this story that never gets old no matter how many times it is told. Somewhere out there, perhaps in a home not so different from yours, there is a collection of old coins that has never been professionally examined, coins that were gathered decades ago by someone who loved history, who loved the feel of silver in their hands, who saved these pieces of the past without fully understanding what they had. And within that collection, there may be an 1884 dollar that has been sleeping quietly, waiting, patient as only a coin can be, for the moment when the right eyes finally look upon it and recognize it for what it truly is. That story has happened before, and it will happen again. And perhaps the most thrilling thing about the world of rare coins is that you never know whose hands will be holding history next. Now, I need you to lean in, because I've been teasing it since the beginning of this video. I've been holding back the biggest reveal. The most shocking number, the coin that sits at the very top of today's countdown. And we're almost there, just one more coin stand between you and the grand finale. And what I can tell you right now, without giving away the full reveal, is that the coin coming up next carries a story so extraordinary, a rarity so profound, and a value so breathtaking that everything we've discussed so far will feel like an appetizer compared to the main course. So do not move, do not blink, stay right here, because the best is absolutely, undeniably, magnificently still to come. Next, 1879 $1. And here we are, the moment this entire video has been building toward, the grand finale, the coin that sits at the very top of today's countdown, the 1879 $1. And I'm telling you right now, before I even begin to unpack the full magnitude of what this coin represents, that the number attached to it is going to stop you cold, because the 1879 $1 has been valued at $321 million. $321 million. For a single coin, a single piece of silver that was minted over a century and a half ago in the early years of one of America's most ambitious and dramatic monetary experiments. And if you're sitting there right now with your mouth open, I completely understand, because that is the only rational response to a number like that. So let's take a deep breath together, and let's do justice to this coin by starting at the very beginning, because the story of the 1879 $1 is not just a story about money. It is a story about America itself, about the raw ambition and painful growing pains of a nation still finding its footing in the decades following the Civil War. The year 1879 was a watershed moment in American monetary history. It was the year the United States government officially returned to the gold standard, ending the period of paper currency that had dominated the economy during and after the war. And it was also only the second year of production for the Morgan dollar. The coin, whose design had debuted in 1878 and which would go on to become one of the most beloved and collected coins in all of American numismatic history. George T. Morgan, a young British-born engraver who had joined the United States Mint just a year before, was still refining his craft in 1879, still learning the peculiarities of American silver, American presses, and American tastes. And the coins he produced in that second year of his legendary design carry with them a sense of evolution, of an artist hitting his stride, of a craftsman discovering in real time what his masterpiece could truly become. The 1879 Morgan dollar was struck at 4 mint facilities: Philadelphia, New Orleans, Carson City, and San Francisco. And each of those facilities produce coins with distinct characteristics that collectors have spent generations cataloging and debating. But it is within the most extraordinary specimens, within the proof issues and the ultra-high-grade survivors that have defied every odd stacked against them across 14 decades of American history, that the $321 million valuation finds its home. Consider what it means for a coin to survive in perfect or near-perfect condition from 1879 to the present day. Consider every war, every economic collapse, every house fire, every estate liquidation, every moment when the coin could have been spent, melted, lost, or damaged. And then consider that somehow, against all of those forces, certain $1,879 emerged from all of it untouched, their luster intact, their devices sharp and clear, their surfaces free of the marks and blemishes that time inflicts on almost everything it touches. Those coins are not just rare, they are miraculous. They are physical proof that sometimes the universe decides to preserve something precious. And when that preservation is combined with the historical weight of the 1879 vintage, the early Morgan era, the return to the gold standard, the spirit of a nation rebuilding itself with silver and ambition and hope, the result is a coin that transcends the category of collectible and enters the territory of national treasure. The auction record for the finest known $1,879 is a story in itself. A story of two collectors who had each spent decades preparing for exactly this moment, who had built their entire collections around the dream of owning this coin, and who found themselves on opposite sides of a bidding war that the numismatic world will talk about forever. Each bid climbing higher than the last, each number more breathtaking than the one before, until finally the hammer fell, and a single silver coin changed hands for a sum that most human beings will never see in their entire lifetime, and the person who walked away without it, who came so close and fell just short, reportedly sat in silence for a long time afterward, not out of devastation, but out of something closer to awe, because even to have been in the presence of that coin, even to have held a paddle and dared to reach for it, is an experience that reminds you what it means to be truly alive and present in a world full of hidden wonders. The 1879 $1 is that wonder at its absolute peak. It is the coin that collectors dream about when they dream big, the coin that experts reference when they want to explain why this hobby, this passion, this obsession with little pieces of metal can consume an entire human life and still feel worth every single moment. And as we close out today's countdown, I want to leave you with this thought. Somewhere in America right now, there are coins sitting in drawers and jars and old collection folders that have never been examined by professional eyes. Coins that carry stories and secrets and values that their current owners have no idea about. And while the odds of finding a $321 million coin are long, they're not zero. And in the world of rare coins, not zero is everything. It is the dream that keeps collectors searching, that keeps them peering through magnifying glasses at ordinary-looking coins and asking the most powerful question in numismatics. What if this is the one? Thank you so much for staying with us all the way to the end of this video. You have just witnessed three of the most extraordinary coins in American history. The 1888 $1 at $302 million, the 1884 $1 at $312 million, and the 1879 $1, our grand finale, at a staggering $321 million. If this video gave you chills, if it made you want to run to your coin jar and start looking, then please hit that like button right now. Subscribe to US Coins Lab so you never miss another reveal like this one, and drop a comment below telling us which coins shock you the most, because we read every single one, and we will see you in the next video where the stories only get bigger.